Hi there everyone, my name's Dave West. I hope we're all doing well. So welcome back to the Ultimate Video Test, and this evening I'm checking out the iPhone 14 Plus in low light conditions. Now, as with all Ultimate Video Tests, I'll leave one of the main camera specifications down in the description, and I'll just run through some of the high level features throughout the video to help save you some time. So we'll start off then with the front facing camera, and this is an all new 12 megapixel sensor, and it has phase detection, autofocus, as well as optical image stabilization. So starting off with 4K at 30 frames per second, and I must admit I'm a little bit surprised in an unpleasant way that the video recording from the front facing camera is noticeably very dark even in 30 frames per second at 4K. So I've tried fiddling around with all the different settings, and it is very, very dark considering this is a brand new sensor. And no matter which way I stand, it tends to just crush out a lot of the background detail, giving it this very muted color palette, which is a bit strange. Now when I record at 24 frames per second, it's a little bit better, but like I said, at 30 frames per second I was expecting it to look a lot better than this. And even when switching off the image stabilization, it still doesn't look that brilliant. So a bit of a disappointing show. As you can see, I've gone almost completely invisible with the front facing camera like this. So I'm going to try switching off the enhanced stabilization and see how it fares with that switched off. So just for anyone who may have thought that the enhanced image stabilization would be affecting the front facing camera video, unfortunately it doesn't seem to be the case. Now I'm in a much brighter area here where I'm sort of surrounded by LED street lighting, but I must admit to being a bit disappointed by the showing off the video quality from the front facing camera. Even the Galaxy Z Fold 4, which is using a really old sensor for its selfie camera for video, does a much better job than this. And admittedly that still looks poor, but I don't know, perhaps I was expecting a bit too much, but this is just to give you an idea of how it looks from the selfie camera. Alright, so moving around to the rear cameras then. So starting off then with the 12 megapixel ultra wide angle camera, and this is at 4K at 30 frames per second. Now I wouldn't usually recommend using ultra wide angle cameras for low light video because they're obviously quite small and don't get in as much light. But I wanted to show you how the video looks using the ultra wide angle camera. Now if I turn around when there's a bit more light available, it still puts in a pretty poor show, to be perfectly honest. And if I switch to the main camera, you can see already that there is a noticeable difference between the two. Now admittedly the ultra wide angle camera is an older camera now. It's been used on the 11, 12 and iPhone 13 series, so it's a bit long in the tooth and due an upgrade. And I think this is probably the lens that people are going to use most with the iPhone 14 Plus, because it gives you a good balance of a fairly wide field of view, really good video quality, and also good image stabilization. Now I can't see it while I'm recording, but once the video has been processed, we might see some jaggies with the video where the stabilization is struggling to cope a bit with the darker conditions. But you let me know what you think down in the comments. For comparison, because I know some people will end up asking me, but this is 4K at 60 from the ultra wide angle camera at night, and as you can see, more or less completely unusable and really showing its age now. I was debating whether to show it in the video, but I inevitably get comments asking why didn't I record 4K 60 at night with the ultra wide angle camera. This is always the reason why. Double the frames means double the time needed to hit this admittedly already small sensor, and you can see that it's really struggling. The main 12 megapixel lens, which has been brought over from the iPhone 13 Pro and Pro Max, is faring a lot better even at 60 frames per second. Now in this darker environment here, you can see it struggles a bit, with a noticeable blue tint across the image as well. But as I move into slightly better lighting conditions, you will see that things do improve. But the extremities of light off to my left here, you can see it's really struggling to bring out any detail in those areas. But for recording things like concerts or live gigs or things like that, or if you're sort of standing still, and recording in slightly better conditions where there's a lot of light around, then 4K 60 from the main lens will be absolutely fine. All right, just to give you a comparison between what the video looks like using the main rear camera to record people in low light conditions versus the selfie camera, which, as I said at the start, is disappointingly not as good as I was hoping it to be, considering it's using a new sensor. But we're not expecting great shakes from the sort of bread and butter of the iPhone range, which is the 14 and the 14 Plus. You know, most people aren't bothered with pro features like RAW and RAW Plus, etc. Won't be that bothered, and we'll probably go for this model because it's a little bit cheaper and still offers a pretty good all-round performance in terms of stills and video. But you let me know what you think down in the comments, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. And don't forget, if you're new around here, then please do consider subscribing. There's going to be small videos like this coming on the channel very, very soon. But for now, this has been a quick look at the iPhone 14 Plus in low light. My name is Dave West, and I'll catch you guys later.